Hello everybody, this is Miss Murphy again. I am now going to start applying value to my drawing. So I just wanted to share a few little things about how I like to start out. One thing that you should have already done was your practice value scale. And all I wanted you to do for that was to make sure, and I'm just going to do this one really quickly. Sometimes I like to use the edge of my pencil. So basically from dark to light, you want to see how many values you can get with your pencil. So sometimes what I do before I actually create this whole scale is I go in very lightly, and then in the middle, I try to get my middle value. But I think you catch my drift here. So you want to just see how many values you can get. I wanted you to do at least 6. And you should see as you go down that it is gradually getting lighter and lighter. You can go in any direction that you want. But, just by doing this, when I start out, I just do a little bit at a time, and then I just build upon that, and I create my entire value scale. And one thing I notice about getting darker values is that sometimes when I go in different directions with my pencil, so if I go in a crisscross direction, I'm able to create a darker value. But I wait until I really finish the value scale to go that far, but this is really just a fast, easy way to create a value scale, and basically this serves as a reference for you for when you're applying value onto your drawing. And it gives you a visual so that you can look at it and go, okay, so how many values did I create in my drawing? This is not my best value scale, but I just wanted to get you guys started with that. Make sure you did that ahead of time. Sometimes you might have to take your eraser back in just to lighten up your value scale. Like I said, this is not my best version of a value scale. I am going kind of fast here. But anyway, you can always go back in and just blend it a little with your finger as well, and then just see where you need to go back in to make things darker or lighter. All right, I think I definitely need to make this lighter, but you catch my drift here, and you can see I have at least 6 values. So this is going to be my reference tool. So here is my drawing that I started already, and we talked about before. So now I'm going to think about, I just started adding details inside. So now it's time to really pull out the details and really make these look like 3-dimensional forms, which is essentially the goal of adding value. Yes, we're making it look realistic, but also the whole point of adding value is to also really enhance the 3-dimensional qualities of our form. And as we know, form, when we're talking about our elements of art, is really something that is 3-dimensional, such as a sculpture. It has height, width, and depth. When we're talking about drawing and we are referencing form, we are really trying to find ways to enhance a 2-dimensional object on a paper and make it appear as if it is a 3-dimensional form. So by adding value, we are enhancing the 3-dimensional qualities of our object, and essentially that is also giving us more details and depth in our drawing, as well as creating a little more dimension and depth throughout. So I am going to start adding value. You can really start anywhere. I'm going to start with my glasses, so I'm just going to start with one object at a time, and I'm just going to start with my lighter values first. So I'm going to look at my objects here. I know you probably can't see them, but they're over here. So I'm looking to see where the light is hitting. I have a direct light source here, so I can see that I have some darker values on this side because this is the direction of my light. So one thing you need to think about first is, where is the light coming from? The light is coming from the top angle. So I know that all my corners here are going to be darker. And actually, I know I just said I like to start out with my lighter areas, but I kind of go in and I do some of my darker edges first. I'm going to actually just start with this one edge of the glasses here, just to give you a little reference point on how to start yours. So I am going to start by, I just do some darker edges here. So I'm going to pretend I'm only focusing on this one section. I find it a little more, I think it's a little bit easier to really just focus on little parts at a time. Especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by looking at your entire drawing. So I'm going to focus on this rim of the glasses and figure out where those darker areas are, because I know my light is coming in from the top left-hand corner. So therefore, just making sure my video was on. Okay, so therefore, I am going to go around the edges and just do that. And then I'm going to gradually, so the other part of this is the idea of implied and actual lines, meaning that you don't always have to show a full outline in an object to make it look realistic. So when we have implied lines, we might erase part of an edge where it's really a lot lighter, and this creates a more realistic edge. So I'm going to also gradually bring my pencil in, and I'm going to create a lighter value here. But one thing I will also say about this process is that it can be additive and subtractive, meaning that you might decide to go in and erase, and that's okay. So I am going to just go around my edge here a little bit, very, very subtly. This is how I'm starting it out. I'm looking at my dark edge here. I think in the beginning I said from light to dark, but I take that back. Should have thought about that when I said it, but I actually am going around the darker edges first so that I can really focus in on where the light's hitting. Sometimes sometimes I even go throughout, but because I'm demonstrating, I'm going to start with this one side over here. I have a dark edge over here. I know that I want to keep in mind where my light is coming. If it helps you, you can draw a very light arrow for yourself that you will erase later, which shows you where your light is coming in. You can draw a few arrows if you want. This will be serving as a reminder of where you want to have your light hitting. So I know that it's going to be hitting the top here. That's going to be a lighter area. But because I know my glasses are actually dark, I'm going to be creating some highlights through here. But I'm just going to go around gradually, creating some of these dark edge and creating some implied and actual lines throughout. So by doing that, I'm creating a dark edge here. I'm creating a dark edge here, but I'm not going around and creating an outline, because when you do that, it actually makes your object look more flat. So you want to avoid tracing the outline of everything, and sometimes I even go in, I erase little edges. I'm gonna go, back here a little bit after a while, but I am going to really go in and enhance this edge here. And you can always do this later as well and go back and see, like, where do I see some darker edges that I need to enhance? So I am just showing you how to get started here. Hopefully this helps you out. And I'm going to do a continuation of this video, but I also want to show you that I just take my finger or a Q-tip a little bit lightly on the edge here. And then I also erase sometimes, like, some of my edges, or I add some little highlights throughout, and I go back in. So sometimes it's a process of, it's an additive and subtractive process. So I just wanted to show you how to get this started. I'm also going to go in here, start kind of adding my darker edge there. Wherever I see my darker edges throughout, I'm just going to start, and then you want to make it look gradual. You don't want to see a line between light and dark. So you just want to go in your edges here. So you can see I'm starting to pull it out. If I were to outline this entirely here and not leave a little suggested line, then it's going to start looking really flat. So that's why I said you want to think about your implied and actual lines. And I hope this gives you a good start. I'm going to add more to this video to help you continue, but let's get started with adding value and applying our values. Remember to use your value scale as a reference in each area that you do to make sure that you're applying a variety of values throughout your drawing so as not to make it appear flat and to give it more depth and dimension.